Hi, we're live. Where you at, Virginia?
We're live on YouTube now, and I'm live on Instagram. So I better get back to it and hope to see you there. Hi, I was doing a quick live on IG, letting everyone know we were here. Now I'm sharing. Give me 1 second, live world.
Well, we're going to just pick a business topic to talk about tonight. We just felt like we wanted to get on and just talk. We haven't done it in a while, and we want to get out there. So let's give her a minute. She's doing an Instagram live. So we're really putting it out there tonight. I hope everybody's having a great evening. I hope you had a great work day. And there she is. She's done
back. Hey, Nanette. Yeah, that was fun. I was like, okay, while she has me on hold before we start, I can squeeze in something. And of course, like, an ADD, ADHD thing, I think I have more time than I had.
So what are we going to talk about tonight? You found a cool article?
I did. So I want to say, was it last week when we got the information about like where we're ranking on our podcast?
I think so. I think it's been about a week.
Okay. So a week ago, we got some information that we were ranking and, it's not high, like the 180 or something in podcasts for management in Japan. And I think that's super cool. So we came across, thank you, Japan. We love you too. Yeah. So I thought that was neat. And I came across this article about the differences in Japanese work culture and how it's different from the US. There's a couple of articles, some older, some newer, and we thought we would give it a talk and chat about that.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it. So it's like comparing like Japanese work culture to our work culture?
Yes.
Okay. So yes. I can't wait to hear it.
So in reading, obviously, I'm not going to go over, it's two different articles going, that I read. And let's start with the differences. Is that cool?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, so the differences. And these things are to be debated, I'm sure. So if however you feel, leave a comment below and tell us about how it's the same or how it's different. We want to hear how your work life is. But long working hours. So apparently Japanese work culture, they emphasize long working hours, and then employees are frequently putting in overtime and like dedicating themselves to their work. So how do you feel about that, Nanette?
Well, I feel like that's where we retired, right? Is because we felt like we were at work all the time. Right. So that's really similar. I thought you was going to talk about the differences first. Like that's not different.
Well, I guess that's different because it's what I'm understanding. It's like it's a requirement for overtime, but I think it depends if we're talking private industry or government. Don't you think?
Probably, because we come out of the government. So, we're doing overtime and whatever. I think we were really dedicated to our jobs, but I think it's really interesting that so you're saying across the board, they're saying they all are dedicated to their jobs like that.
Right. That's what they're saying, that there's this emphasis about employees working long hours and they want that overtime. They want to dedicate themselves to their work. And I mean, I can say for the people I know, that is not a go-to action that, I'm not like, I'm counting down, you know what I mean? Like even working for the government, that when it was closing time, like your finger will get caught in the door.
That's true. Really, really true. But we did work a lot, but it wasn't my choice. We didn't like desire to work like that.
Right. And I think maybe that's what they're saying. It's like a desire to have these longer work hours. Yeah. I'm curious though. So if you work in Japan and you're like, heck no, that's kind of forced on us, tell us, we want to know. So another thing they were talking about was group orientation. So apparently the Japanese work culture has a strong emphasis on teamwork and collaboration and maintaining this harmony and these like collective decision making.
Well, I kind of like that in a way. I mean, like that's the ideal, right? Is to be, because it seems like if you're going to be at work all day long, it would be better if you all got along, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I like the idea of maintaining harmony for sure, because if the focus, well, I don't know if the focus is maintaining harmony, but if you're maintaining harmony, I'm going to assume that you're probably a good communicator, because
Right.
like people get upset. I mean, like, do you just swallow your feelings, or do you communicate well so that there is harmony? So I guess I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
Ooh. So is it like forced harmony is what you're saying? Like it's like
Yeah,
shunned?
I'm curious, like, which one is it? Is it forced harmony, or is it
Like in other words, you can't speak up if you're not happy. You just have to get along. That kind of thing.
is that,
Yeah.
I mean, the article doesn't really like decipher how that is, whether is it forced harmony, or is it they're just great communicators? Like, I want to believe they're great communicators, and that they're focusing on this emphasis of a teamwork and collaboration, because I think when you are under a teamwork and collaboration type of environment, and that everybody has like the same goal, you can get so many things done. If your focus is not how do I look, getting like, oh, am I doing good? Am I going to get a kudo? More like, hey, this result, we're awesome. I want to be in that environment.
Well, yeah. And if they're super into going to work anyway, maybe that just comes naturally as being, they want it to be harmonic, I guess is the word. Like they're super excited about the work, so they want to be in harmony. Because if you ever go to work here in America and everybody's happy to be there, it's a lot easier to have harmony when they want to be at work.
That is very true. That is very true. It's definitely when I'm happy at work, and when I was happy at these different offices, couldn't wait to get there. I couldn't wait to get there. Couldn't wait to see my people and hear what they have to say, and then try new things together. It was a very different. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen enough in the US. So pay attention, US. We need some of this. So you want the moving on to the third. Sorry for the stuttering. Like, it's late.
It's only 7:30. Come on.
Nap time for me. A third difference in Japanese work culture is hierarchy and respect. Now, I'm curious about this because
me too.
In the military, that sounds military. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and government jobs, there's a strict hierarchy. And I guess in Japanese work culture is what they're saying is that there's typically a very strict hierarchy where respect for supervisors is highly valued, and that employees are expected to show and deference and adhere to these like formal protocols. So they're like expected to be a certain way, where I can see where if you don't feel like you're getting what you want, where you might skip the supervisor and go straight to the boss, the manager, a CEO or founder of an organization. And apparently that's like a fat no in Japan.
Ooh, interesting. Because that happens a lot, especially in government jobs. Like even though we have a strict hierarchy, I know times when people just jumped ship and went above, especially when they were unhappy.
I mean, I can say that if I didn't get what I needed from my manager and I felt like it was preventing the goal that I understood was the goal, and I didn't get what I needed, I would do the same thing, but not just blindly. It would be after multiple attempts to try to go through the right way. Because I mean, I try to do things hierarchy, but sometimes your boss is dumb.
Maybe they don't have dumb bosses in Japan. We don't know
that's
that,
what
right?
I'm going to assume. They don't have dumb
We're going to
bosses.
assume that.
Yeah, maybe it's more than the Peter principle.
Maybe they don't promote just to get them out of where they're at. Yeah.
Right. That's fun. That's a whole nother topic. We're going to have to we should do a thing out there, have everybody read the book, and then make a whole Q&A about the Peter principle and their jobs. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't own any rights to that. Just throwing it out there. It's a good read. The next thing they do this is scary to me. Lifetime employment.
What?
Mm-hmm.
So you die on the job kind of thing?
Right. So there's this traditional expectation. I hope they don't, maybe I hope they get to retire. But apparently there's an expectation of these long-term commitments between employees and employers in Japan. So there's this tendency for these employees and these workers to stay in the same company for their entire career.
So whatever you choose when you get out of college or high school, like you're stuck. You don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess that's what the trend is. That's what they do. They're just like, hey, this is what I want to be, and this is what you do. And then you find the company and you just stay there.
That kind of sounds scary. I don't know that I could do that. I can't even get a tattoo because I'm scared I'm going to change my mind. So how would I pick a job forever?
See it though, when it's a safety thing, because think about how long we were with our last jobs, right?
That's true.
I was beginning, in the beginning, it was like every 3 months I changed a job because I knew it wasn't going to be my career. But once I got into my career job, here it was like 26 years later, like what, 28 years for you or something, right? Yeah. And so, how is that not different? How is that?
I guess it's true, but I guess as long as you can switch in the beginning so you figure it out, because sometimes you don't make a decision and be the wrong one and you'd be stuck there,
Right.
Like, do they look down on you if you do change your mind? Oh, that's what I'd be curious about. If you jump ship, is it hard to find another job?
Mm-hmm. I'll say this though, I do think that in the US that people don't do what we did. I think what we did was because we knew that we had this very secure job in government. And that's why we stayed in that role and in that job, because of the benefits, because of all these securities. I think that was more the reason why, because most people I know in private sector, they do like 10 years and then they try a new company. It's like 8 to 10 years and they go, 8 to 10 years and they go.
That's true.
And then even the younger folks, they're even less time than that. They're like 3 to 5 years and then they go. So I can see that being a big difference in work culture from Japan and the US.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I have to say the first thing I thought of with the lifetime employment was the Bee Movie, the cartoon.
I don't know that movie.
It's really cute. And that's it's like the life of bees. And they have this whole scenario where, they go to school and I think it's like three days and they went right through college. Right. And like every 15 minutes, they have like a graduation class of, I don't know how many thousands of bees. And then at the end of that, they have to pick their job. And that's the job that they'll do for the rest of their whole life.
Okay.
There's a whole scene about that. There's something like, are you going to, so you'll work us until we die? And then, the orientation lady's like, we'll sure try.
That's got some similarities.
Yeah, I can see that there. So throw that in there. That must be some Japanese influence too.
That's funny.
And then the fifth thing that was a difference that was listed was dedication to quality and craftsmanship. So Japanese work culture, they have a real big emphasis and they place a significant emphasis on attention to detail, precision, continuous improvement, and delivering high quality products and services. Now, I can say that I feel like I agree with that.
I do.
You go Japan, because I agree with that.
I agree with that too. That's the way we want to run I know that's the way I want to run my office or my business, right?
Right. Yeah. I want it to run that way. I want it to be the way. The struggle is that do the employees, they don't want that. They don't want that. And there's a variety of reasons why they don't want that. And we at the Lively office can help you with that.
Yeah, we can.
That is what we do. So if your employees are not dedicated to quality and craftsmanship, and just like this Japanese work culture, then you need to call Nanette and I, and we will help you change your work culture so that they have that detail and that precision and that continuous improvement in their work.
That's right. I love that.
So let's talk about similarities.
Sure.
Okay. So similarities, professionalism. I like that. I agree.
Okay. I don't believe that that's a similarity, really?
That's a similarity that, yes. I'm going to assume that this means corporate America, not Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm going to assume, yeah. But even there's some corporate America, well, I guess healthcare, sometimes I feel like there's no professionalism in everything. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's like, not everybody dresses the same. Nobody,
because those are individual units, right? Individual doctors, not really like a corporate. So maybe I'm going to assume that this comparison is corporate USA versus corporate Japan.
So then it is very similar.
Right. And I could see that because, they emphasize on that professionalism, meeting job requirements, maintaining appropriate behavior and these ethical standards. I could say that that's true and fair. Right. And then going into the ethical standards, work ethic. So both cultures are apparently value strong work ethic and emphasizing dedication and responsibility and the commitment to achieving goals. So I can see that too.
I can too. Yeah.
Even the ones who didn't want to do it couldn't help do it. Right. They're just like, I have to do it right. And I have to be the best at it. I felt like that was like a pride, maybe, is that another way of saying it?
Pride in your work and being able to say, look what I did kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
Right. And yeah. I can see that as a similarity. And then the third thing listed here was focus on productivity. So both Japanese and US work cultures, they emphasize on that productivity and achieving the results. And they want these expectations to be met. Now their approach might be different, but I'm actually so curious on how they manage. Like, I want to work in a Japanese company just for a moment, just to check it.
I know, just to see like actually how these similarities and differences play out, like, and how people, the way people feel at work is what I'm curious. Like, are people really going in there energetic, and happy to be at work and making it happen? Or is it expected of them? Like, I don't know. I'm really curious.
Is there a personal sacrifice in making sure that you go along with this ideal?
Yeah.
Or is it that the environment is set up where you just naturally go with this ideal because it feels good? Like, I guess that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to be engaged, or is it expected of you? I know a lot of those, Eastern cultures, there's a lot of expectations, on what they're supposed to do. So is it just expected of you, so you just go along with it? Or is it something you really, 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 you're, feel like engaged to do?
Right. I'd be curious. I mean, because we have so many things that I feel in the US that we should naturally just do. And then they end up not being naturally done. And then we got to have the Department of Labor stick in their face in it.
Right.
Rules, because these common sense things are not being done in organizations. So that sounded really fierce the way I said that. I didn't mean to say like stick in their face in it.
No, but what you're saying is we shouldn't have to be at that level where we have to have somebody come in from the outside to fix it. We should just,
Yeah,
that's what you're trying to say, right?
Exactly. It is what I'm trying to say. Like, why shouldn't have to make or follow or make sure I check off a list of these certain things that are done within your organization? Because I believe that most humans, and I'm talking humans, have know in their heart the difference between like right and wrong. And I understand there's cultural differences and cultural things that, you believe and you don't believe, and depending on where you are in this part of the world. But for these two countries that we're comparing, I feel like, some things, it seems like it's, common sense, I guess. All right. So the fourth thing, moving on.
Oh, there's another one. Okay.
There's 5. They have 5 on
okay.
So performance-based evaluations. Both cultures have performance-based evaluation systems that assess the employee contributions and provide feedback. Now, I want to know, do you really do it, Japan? Because in our company, my 26 years of experience in the government, that was fake. I mean, that was fake feedback. I want to say I had probably 2 bosses in my life that gave me real, genuine feedback that I could use. And the rest of it was a popularity contest.
Well, and even my husband, who's not in government, they have the evaluation system, and it is literally fake. I mean, like, his supervisor even told me, I'm just doing this because my boss tells me. And it's just like this standard form. I mean, he was so upset over his because it didn't even apply to him. So, I mean, so it seems to be like a common theme in America that we just go through the steps, but it's not really, really utilized. I mean, they almost utilized it in my husband's company as a documentation to protect themselves when they go to fire you.
Interesting. I wonder how many people experience that, because I think that that's an opportunity. I think performance-based evaluations is an opportunity to be genuine and have the conversation, whether it's hard or easy. Just talk about it and then make sure everyone's on the same page is a great way to do it. I know that in the past, I would do these evaluations, and I think that we had to do them quarterly. And when I would do these evaluations, I constantly was told that I was the first one that had ever done it in their career. And these are people who had 25, 30 years in, and they're like, you're the first one who's ever done this. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Right.
But we have to do it. So it did make it uncomfortable because they weren't experiencing it before. It was something new for them. So then they were hesitant to answer, or they wanted their union involved. I'm like, this is not discipline. This is like, hey,
Right.
an opportunity for you to tell me what's going on in your life to make your job easier, and an opportunity for you to understand that our obstacles that we're going through as an organization. And for whatever reason, some people were very, I don't want to say fearful, but maybe it came from fear, but they were definitely hesitant to provide me with accurate feedback. But I do like the idea that both cultures have this emphasis on performance-based evaluation. And I hope that it is actual and genuine, because when it is actual and genuine, you can really push people to do more. For me, I remember, and this is kind of a silly thing, but every year we do the breast cancer awareness thing. And I got really competitive with that because I got these good evaluations. And then there was this expectation that you reach this certain level. And like, I every year I was like, Annie up. I was ready. I mean, every year I elevated myself, and a lot of it was to do with the fact that I got that attaboy, that it was, pushed, and I got this positive feedback from it. So it did make me think, okay, what am I going to do next year? And that was kind of like a fun way to go to work. And I was always getting excited come October.
Well, I remember one of the places I went, nobody, kind of like you, nobody had ever had an evaluation in that office. And they were really, really like this, like they were so gruff about it. I brought them in individually. So one of my tactics was to let them evaluate me. So I made out a form that was really similar to mine and handed it to all of them. I'm like, and had them fill it out first. So they were super excited to come in and talk to me because they had all their evaluations, of me, of mine. And it was great though, because it gave me feedback into how they viewed me. And it started dialogue that we would have never had, because it put them off the offensive, like the defensive, and put them on the offense. And it was fun. It was one of my funnest places I worked too, because it created that, being vulnerable sometimes like that, it gets respect. So that was fun. I forgot all about that until we had this conversation.
Yeah. What they call it, 360-degree feedback, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Nothing worse than getting, not worse, but there's nothing more revealing than getting feedback from your employees.
I like it though.
Yeah.
Feedback from employees is great. How am I going to ever be a better manager, boss, supervisor, CEO, founder for you if I don't know what you're feeling? And sometimes, those things are not even based in truth. I remember having a conversation with someone, and I have to be honest, this sounds terrible. I never thought about this employee, like ever. It was just one of those middle of the road employees that wasn't extra great, wasn't extra bad. They just kind of were in the middle in the tide and had no presence. So there's just nothing about them. And I know it sounds absolutely awful, but it's just who they were. So if you're not begging for my attention by being terrible, or begging for my attention because you're like amazing, you're just in the middle, you're going to get like the standard version of me. And apparently, like the standard version of me, they thought that I was always after them. And it was just by simply walking by and I'm trying to make you feel part of the group, because I feel like you are a middle of the road employee. So I don't want to forget about you. and make it a point to come by you and say, hey, good morning, how are you doing? Or, hey, have a good night, thanks for coming in. And those comments made this person think I was like after them. And they pulled me in like the room one time and like bawling, crying, thinking that I was always after them and always watching them. And then it's like I had to reveal to them, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I just don't even think about you on any occasion, and like, not so crudely, of course, right? But I did say, like, it's so rare for me to think of you other than, I'm appreciative that you're here, I'm appreciative that you come to work, and after that it's like you're not getting a lot. I mean, it's like, you're just so average. And I mean, of course I never said it in that way, but for my own self-reflection and giving me that feedback, I was like shocked. I mean, how could that even be? I was like, well, probably ignore you. Were you trying to stay hidden? I mean, that's what I assumed.
Probably every other boss ignored them. And, and she was freaked out when you noticed.
She was, I mean, she was upset. She was crying and everything. It was crazy. And then we ended up, it ended up being good. It was eye opener for me, obviously. And then at that point, things changed. And it was like, you could see where she felt part of the group. And it was, I don't even know. It's like, she would come to me and say, good morning then. And then even later on in life, she ended up even revealing some very deeply personal things that she was going through. And I tried to like be there for her, but it was just so interesting. Her perspective was I was after her, not that I was trying to keep her included.
Well, that just goes to show how much you need to communicate, because you never know how people view things, and having those employees be able to tell me how my performance was, it gave me the opportunity to explain some things like you said, because they don't understand why you do some of the things you do and they interpret it so wrong. It gives you an opportunity to have that dialogue to talk about, why you do the things you do and what your intentions are. And a lot of times you have good intentions, but the employees think otherwise. So
yeah, it's interesting. And because they're all coming at it from their perspective, their set of life goggles, whether they're the person who's got, a victim all the time, or they're just like very traumatized or very sensitive, or, maybe they have a bad work history with previous employers and previous managers. So they're bringing all of this baggage to the table and they're looking at you with that way. Because I don't think I wish it were, but I don't think that people look at things as logical as they can. Like, take away your emotional piece of your situation and look at it from a business perspective, from a logical perspective. If a company makes a change, don't think automatically that they're making the change to hurt you.
Yeah.
They're making the change probably to survive as a company, trying to make some money, because that's why they're there. And if they don't survive, then you don't have a job either. So it's like, it behooves you to care about their survival. So I can appreciate that piece of it, which goes back to the work ethic, and with Japan and the US. I mean, that matters. Decisions are made usually for business purposes. At least we hope that. Now, you and I have both experienced decisions being made for self gratitude or self, what's another way of saying that? Self-promotion, I guess, is a way to say it.
Well, a lot of decisions that were made for me were for punishment too, because they didn't maybe I didn't agree with certain things. I mean, how often have you seen decisions made to punish people? I mean, for whatever reason, they didn't perform enough. So I'm going to show you why you should perform, and they punish. I mean, there's a lot of crazy decisions that we've seen in 25 plus years that were punishment.
This is true.
That's a bad thing to say, but it was a wrong tactic to try to get performance, because it's the only thing they knew, because they were ignorant.
That's fair. Yeah, that's never a bad decision. So if you're listening to this later on, or if you're joining us live here, tell us in the comments below. I really would like to hear your story. I mean, it might be too long, but give me some situations where, has your job or your employer, your boss, done something and made decisions for that without any concern for the company, but just to punish you, because I'm curious about that. I mean, and listen, don't give me stuff that your perspective, like be realistic about it. Was it really punishment? Are you being email? Like, don't, you know what I mean? Because there's a difference, because there's people who think it, you know, and I want to know, I'm curious. Well, the last thing that there is an emphasis on continuous learning. So Japanese and US cultures both recognize that there's an importance of ongoing learning and professional development to enhance your skills and, you know, stay competitive in the job market. And I can see that. I can give that to the government, and I can give it to just people in general. I think right now, at least it feels that way. Maybe that's just the algorithm I'm on. But everything coming across my social media is changing your mindset, changing your life, changing your thoughts, reevaluating the things that you do in your life, you know, owning stuff that you do. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like through my career, it's kind of changed, because early in my career, I felt like they talked a lot about training, but I never really saw it, or it was not thorough enough. And I think as the company, you know, progressed and we got more technology and we got closer together, I think that changed a little bit. But I think after the pandemic is what you're talking about. I feel like people are just, I don't know, like maybe scared of the status quo, and they want to have more skills personally, like not even through the business, but I think more individuals are searching for self-development and job development, because they know that their job could go away, or they could not have a job at any time. So maybe that's why the algorithm has that.
You know, I think you're right.
I don't know that businesses really think that way, because businesses, in my experience, it seems like they always just think that as a cost. And I don't know that all businesses are really, I mean, take the restaurant business, for example.
Okay.
I mean, restaurants are they say they're going to do training, but usually they would rather get rid of an employee than retrain somebody, because they feel like that's better. I mean, I've been in a lot of restaurants, and they don't understand the value of good training. Now, not all of them do, but I'm just talking about your mom and pops and, you know, your things like that. And I think that people miss out on that, because I think if you take an employee, you find out what their career path is, and you train them on what they want to do, they're going to want to work for you more, because they see value in coming to work with you. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I think the pandemic has changed a lot, though.
I agree with you on that, on the pandemic. I think because people who thought, oh, I'm so important in this job, I'll never lose, they'll never let go of me. We're let go. And that was a way big eye opener. They're like, wait, I thought I was irreplaceable, you know, and no, Beyonce said it. Yeah. Don't ever think you're irreplaceable, because you are. And I think that did open up people's eyes to like, okay, it's competitive out there. It's a competitive market. So if I'm not getting what I need from my company, I'm going to get what I need personally. I know, speaking for myself, and I know your journey, that we've both done that. You know, we have really pushed ourselves, I would say, in the last 2 years with new learning more than like the previous 20.
I agree.
Easily. And maybe that was comfort. So maybe we needed this. That's a positive that came out of this whole situation, because we were so complacent and so comfortable that were we really being the best that we can be? Were we being our truest, highest standard self? Definitely not.
No, we were drifting. We were drifting. Yeah. Just barely making it by, learning when we had to for the next step. And then, but yeah, we could have definitely done more. And maybe that's part of why we were ready to go on something new.
That is true. And then the thing is that I think what had happened is that we plateaued, because we were already at the high standard in this, and how much change could there be in this?
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, this is my unit, and all the knowledge you can know is in this box. And we knew all this knowledge that was in this box. So there was nothing more, because there was too many restrictions and too many rules and unions and, you know, all that in the way. So there was, what else could you do? and then, that limits you. So I guess that's also something that, and we could have done more personal learning. And I guess we sort of tried to in the end, but right before.
Yeah, we kind of outgrew the job in a way.
Right. That's
emotionally, especially. I feel like, yeah.
That's true. Outgrew the job. Definitely outgrew the job.
Mm-hmm.
Fair, very fair thing to say. Anyways, I think this was fun.
It was fun.
Like this Japanese and U.S. work culture. Can I speak? Japanese and U.S. work cultures, and just having these distinguished or these different characteristics and these similar ones. I think that I'm going to go on YouTube and like start searching some of that because I want to see videos. I know. Have it translated into English so I can hear what they're saying.
Some conference table videos. Like let's see how they work in a room like that and collaborate. That'd be interesting too.
It would be. I want to know. I want to know more. So if you're watching us from Japan and you work in corporate Japan, tell us what you think. Tell us where we're wrong. Is this art? No, it's not us. Tell us where this article we read is wrong.
True. Yeah, it's just an article. We have nothing else to go on.
This is completely the words of the author. So, well, these two different, I guess they got it from two different articles. So should we say where they're from? Does it matter?
Oh, I don't know. You could.
SME Japan was one of the articles that we read by Vladimir Zivanovic. And the other article was on Japanese Academy, Kodo Academy. And it does not really state the author, it just comes under Japanese culture. So I don't know who wrote that. Well, that's the articles. We can probably add them to the link below. And if you're interested in reading the articles, we'll add that to the link below. And anything else, Nanette?
Yeah, subscribe to our channel, like our video, and you can also find us at the Lively Office on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook.
All right.
Have a great night, everybody.